I don't think a lot of things hurt me on YouTube and things that are said, but one of the things that really disappoints me is when people act like men don't want women to work. I have yet to find a man that cares enough like about a woman working. They really don't exist like that anymore. Men do not care. The the real thing is that we need our women. It's not even that we want. Women need to be adaptable when it comes to their careers.
There's nothing wrong with being successful. The problem is you throwing it in somebody's face and disrespecting, thinking that your career makes you
Yeah,
better, a better human being, or
yeah,
better in anything. I think that's the problem, because men don't have a problem if she's working, but
yeah.
the problem is they start disrespecting men just because, and that doesn't give you. I think that's the problem.
Oh, you
So
mean doing the whole comparing thing? I'm sorry, Trigger. Go ahead.
okay. Um, so I love everything everyone has said so far, and that's what I really wanted to touch on was that last part I think Sayer was getting to, where yes, women are using it as a um, bargaining chip, to start disrespecting their men and start negotiating things that women have never traditionally tried to negotiate. So I've basically boiled it down to women are choosing career over family because of lack of discipline and the ability to abuse power. That's the simplest way I've seen it. The reason I say lack of discipline is because it takes a lot of discipline. Like, this is what I don't like, a lot of the stigmas about African men in general, or Nigerian men in general, because I don't know if anybody's looking, but somehow we are very traditional men, and we've managed to create the most educated woman in the United States, of any woman, not black women, of any woman. Nigerian women are the most
You're
educated
Nigerian?
women. Yes.
Oh,
So
cool.
for people to say we're overbearing and we created the most educated, the most corporately placed, like they get number one in corporate placement, CEO, Nigerian women came from, and most of them came from two parent. Large majority came from two parent households where the father was the head of the house. He pushed excellent academic excellence more than the mothers do. The mothers push the traditional stuff. It's the father that pushed education. So in this group of people, we've basically found out a way for women to be the highest tier. Remember, they're STEM. Nigerians are STEM people. All right. Engineering, medical, all of we're STEM people. And these women who are surgeons, anesthesiologists, I have several of them in my family, still go home and serve their husbands. So it is the lack of discipline of Western women to think that just because you don't even, let's just be real. Most of them aren't even surgeons. Most of them are underwater basket weavers trying to negotiate with their husband, talking about they're not going to do something. That is a real lack of discipline and abuse of power. The other part of it is that I'm working, so I want to negotiate such things like gender roles. Now, I think someone said it, maybe it was Saira. Men actually do help simply because the circumstances have changed. When I go to, like, we were at gymnastics on Thursday, it's half fathers there. The mother's not even there because she's at work. Right. So fathers have to step in and help. The part where I feel like women really don't get is that when you need help, it's not always appropriate to ask your husband the type of help you need. You need the reason other cultures are going to overtake Western groups is because they know the right way to get help. It's time to move a mother-in-law in. It's time for your sister to come help. It's time, like, you're making demands of your family, not your man, right? And that's the way you to do it appropriately. So I really just think it's the lack of discipline and the abuse of power that has women thinking their career is more important than their family. And I think, lastly, I'll say you'll notice women still want to serve. They're just serving the wrong agenda. Women still want to serve their boss, right? You still want to get up early and put all that stuff on for your boss, but they're choosing to give all in one area and not both as they should.
So I wholeheartedly agree with everything that you had to say, Trigger Mike. And I just wanted to add one more point, right? Because you brought up the underwater basket weavers. The program you take in higher education is also where that indoctrination comes in, right? Like when you're in the STEM fields, they're not reinforcing modern or non-traditional roles in the household, right? It's strictly about the education, the facts, and how to do your job. When you get into the social sciences, well, then we start to question, like, is there value in women working, like women's unpaid labor? Is there value? Like, society doesn't value these things. And so when you're still, when you're a young adult, you're still impressionable. And as you're kind of leaving the household and being indoctrinated by these very liberal ideologies, and if we're honest, higher education is full of liberal ideologies, that becomes where, even though your upbringing has been more conservative or more traditional, you start to see some women shift, right? Because they're taught, hey, now you have these opportunities that you wouldn't have considered before, and then you're being taught that what you were planning on doing doesn't have value. Where is your value? It's in the labor and the labor market, right? And so that just kind of adds that additional layer to it, where even though everything goes right in the household and you have that proper upbringing and you have that proper example, that people are still veering off course.
Do you, so, it's like, to the question, I'm not, maybe I missed it, but I was like, would you prioritize family or a career? Like, what do you feel like for you is more important?
So much like Shaq, I've done the career thing. Still doing it because I haven't found my husband yet. But I like was joking with a coworker the other day, like I can't wait for my husband to be like, all right, whenever you want to quit your job, I'm just like, I'm ready, right? I think family is really important, and you know, being at that stage where a lot of the people around me have started to have families, and understanding and seeing like the real life results of what a stay-at-home mother can actually do for a child's development, even before they're the age of like kindergarten or whenever they start, um, is huge. And I've seen the difference between the working moms and the stay-at-home moms, and I want to be able to give my future children the best possible chance in their future, and that starts from like while they're still in the womb, right? And so I would absolutely give up my career for my family.
Nice. Chanel?
Definitely would. It's amazing because when I was single, I was a pretty new flight attendant and I was working egregious hours. And after meeting my now husband, we spoke about it, and I'm just so thankful for my job because I can take a lot of time off. I can work minimal hours, and just like Shaq was saying, you set yourself up for your family. So I just feel like God has blessed me because I have like the dream job where I can stay home most of the time and raise my future children. And I think if women probably think of a job in that kind of way, like, hey, how can a job service my future children? Then maybe they can get best of both worlds if that's what they actually want. But for me, it's family first. Like, I can't stress that enough. That's something that we as a people have to do because no one else is valuing our family. So we have to.
And
For
let me
sure.
just add this to what she's saying, because I don't think a lot of things hurt me on YouTube and things that are said. But one of the things that really disappoints me is when people act like men don't want women to work. I have yet to find a man that cares enough like about a woman working. They're like, they really don't exist like that anymore. Men do not care. The the real thing is that we need our women. It's not even that we want. Women need to be adaptable when it comes to their careers. So I even have friends that work for the airline, like Chanel does. And the moment she got pregnant, she stopped being a flight attendant. Now she works in some other administrative role with the airline. That's it. So she's in station wherever she was at. Oh, it's Atlanta, right? She works for Delta. That's where they station. So she's working for the same um corporation in an administrative role so she could be there for her family. Now here's where that's important, because I see a lot of women when they hear me say that say, why can't the man adapt? Your man should never be the one that needs to adapt to you, because you are the one that is going to go through changes throughout your entire life. A smart woman knows never mess with your husband's job or the way that he works. He's going to work the entirety of his life. If he bends to your will, you're going to regret it. Right. So if you hold him back, if you make him miss promotions, if you try to do all that stuff, when you ultimately leave the workforce 15 years before him or start working part-time, it's going to make the whole family look stupid. You're going to feel like you held everybody back just because of the nature in which women work. You take breaks, you go part-time, you take maternity leave, you do all this stuff. It's very rare that a woman's going to out-earn her husband throughout the entirety of their marriage. Extremely rare. It doesn't matter how much more money you make than him, you will just stop in a manner that means that he will naturally overtake you, so you don't ruin what he has going on. You just got to make sure you're the adaptable one. And remember, never in life have we heard a woman say she wished she would have worked more at the end of her life. They never say that, ever.
Yeah.
I wish I would have made more time for my children. I would.
But you got some
Hell no.
You got some women who are like super feminist, all about that, and they can't wait to go back to work after they had a child. Like they're like, get the baby out, and they're just ready to finish pursuing what they were doing. Like, you know, there's some women who are like that, like they're less attached to that whole thought process. I think that like the women that we have on this panel, that we all have like similar mindsets in regards to that. But there are some women that are like,
we have to analyze why. I think we have to analyze the why, the behind reason why they have to go back to work. They want more money. They have things to pay. Like it's something that doesn't let them stay, because I just don't agree that it's just because.